My name is Varixol, Senior Analyst of Threat Assessment. Also, apparently, the only sane mind left in the Galactic Council. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Because the moment I saw the report, I knew this meeting was about to become a disaster. Next agenda item. Chairwoman Lyra said, her voice calm, too calm. The minor species designated as humans. Planet Earth. Minor. I almost laughed. I should have laughed. But then General Kor slammed his heavy claw on the table. Enough delays. We strike now. There it was. Straight, loud, confident, and completely stupid. A few council members murmured in agreement. Others nodded like obedient drones. I leaned back in my chair, slowly, carefully, as if sudden movement might trigger the collective foolishness in the room. General Kor, I said, keeping my voice level. Before you lead us into what will surely become a historical embarrassment, perhaps we review the data. He turned to me, eyes glowing faint red. We have reviewed enough. The species is divided, primitive, emotionally unstable. Perfect target. I blinked. Once. Twice. Then I exhaled. Perfect target. I repeated. Yes, if your goal is to get us all erased. Silence. Beautiful, shocked silence. Chairwoman Lyra tilted her head. Analyst Varek, explain. Of course. Now, they want an explanation. Not before declaring war, no after. Typical. I tapped the console in front of me. A holographic display filled the chamber. Earth rotated slowly, blue, calm, deceptively harmless. Let us begin with their defining trait, I said. Contradiction. General Kor scoffed. That is not a threat. Oh, it is, I replied. You see, humans are weak. Individually? Quite fragile. They bruise, they break, they panic. A few council members nodded. Good. Let them feel confident. Then I smiled. But collectively, they are a nightmare. The room shifted. Not much. Just enough. I zoomed the display. Cities lit up. Networks flashed. They argue constantly. They disagree on everything. Food, beliefs, leadership, even reality itself. A small ripple of laughter spread. Exactly, Kor said. Disorganized. I raised a finger. Until you give them a common enemy. Silence again. Oh, there it is. The moment it starts sinking in. When threatened, I continued. Humans stop arguing. Not immediately. Not cleanly. But inevitably. Slowly, then suddenly. I switched the display. War footage. Ancient. Recent. Repeating patterns. They have a long history of fighting each other, I said. And every time, they become better at it. Chairwoman Lyra leaned forward. That is not unique. Many species evolve through conflict. I nodded. True, but humans innovate through it. I'll let that sit. Then I added quietly, they don't just fight. They improve while fighting. General Kor crossed his arms. Still irrelevant. Their technology is inferior. I almost laughed again. Almost. Is it? I asked. I pulled up another set of data. Rapid advancements. Timelines compressing. Observe this. Their progress curve. It is not linear. The graph shot upward. Sharp. Aggressive. Uncomfortable. They invent faster under pressure, I said. The more danger you give them, the faster they adapt. A council member whispered, that is inefficient. No, I replied. That is terrifying. I stepped closer to the center of the chamber. You see, most species prepare, then fight. I paused. Humans fight, then prepare while still fighting. No one laughed this time. Good. Now we were getting somewhere. General Kor's voice lowered. You exaggerate. Do I? I pulled the final display. Recorded transmissions. Human voices. Chaotic. Emotional. One clip played. A human soldier, injured, laughing. Laughing. While everything burned around him. The chamber went still. They find humor in disaster, I said. They make jokes in war zones. They celebrate survival in the middle of destruction. I turned to Kor. Do you understand what that means? He didn't answer. Of course he didn't. So I answered for him. It means fear does not control them the way it controls us. Chairwoman Lyra's voice was softer now. All species feel fear. Yes, I said, but humans negotiate with it. A pause. Then I added, almost amused, Sometimes they ignore it completely. I return to my seat. Slowly, deliberately. If you attack Earth, I said, you will not face a unified army at first. I got a few hopeful looks. I continued. You will face confusion, resistance, mistakes, more nodding. And then you will face adaptation. The room cooled. You will face millions of minds solving the same problem. How to stop you? I leaned forward. And once they agree on that, even partially, I let the sentence hang. No need to rush. They will not stop. General Kor's jaw tightened. We are superior. I tilted my head. Yes, I said. So were many before them. That hit harder than I expected. Good. Very good. Chairwoman Lyra looked at me carefully. Your recommendation? Finally. A sensible question. I smiled. Small. Sharp. Do not attack Earth. Simple. Clear. Obvious. Which meant, of course, they would ignore it. General Kor stood. Fear has clouded your judgment, analyst. Fear? I almost applauded. No, I said. Pattern recognition has. He turned to the council. We proceed with the strike. Murmurs rose again. Agreement. Confidence. Delusion. I leaned back, watching, waiting, and then I said, quietly, you're not declaring war on Earth. No one stopped me. So I finished. You are declaring war on a species that has spent its entire history surviving worse than you. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. But not enough. Never enough. Chairwoman Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them. Decision made. Prepare the fleet. Of course. Of course they did. I exhaled slowly, staring at the rotating image of Earth. Blue. Peaceful. Deceptive. Well, I muttered under my breath. This should be entertaining. Because one thing was certain. They thought they were attacking a weak world. They had no idea. They had just united it. And when humans unite, things tend to go very, very wrong. For everyone else. The fleet launched in perfect formation. Of course it did. Massive warships, polished hulls, synchronized movement, a beautiful display of power. Useless, but beautiful. I stood in the observation deck beside Chairwoman Lyra. She watched the armada with quiet pride. They will surrender quickly, she said. I didn't respond. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I had already said everything. And they didn't listen. So now, they would learn. The first signal from Earth arrived sooner than expected. Not a weapon, not a defense grid. A message. General Kor smirked. Already begging. I rubbed my temple. Play it. The transmission filled the chamber. A human face appeared on screen. Female. Calm. Slightly tired. No fear, just focus. My name is Maya Rao, she said. You've entered Earth's orbit without permission. That's not great. Not great. I almost choked. General Kor laughed loudly. Pathetic. Maya continued, completely ignoring him, which, honestly, I appreciated. You probably think we're divided. You're not wrong. She sighed lightly. We argue about everything. Seriously, everything. A few council members chuckled. Then her expression changed. Subtle. Sharp. But here's the thing. You just gave us something to agree on. There it was. I leaned forward. Leaving would be a very good idea, she said. Staying won't end well for you. The transmission cut. Silence. Then, laughter. Loud. Confident. Foolish. General Kor turned to me. This is your terrifying species. I folded my arms. You heard her. Yes, he said. A warning. No, I replied. A courtesy. That wiped the smile off his face. Good. Begin orbital strike, Kor ordered. And just like that, the mistake became irreversible. Energy cannons charged. Target locks engaged. Coordinates selected. Earth's major cities. Of course. Always the cities. Bright flashes lit the void as the first wave fired. Precise. Efficient. Devastating. Or it should have been. Instead, half the shots missed. Not slightly. Completely. Kor frowned. What? I didn't even look surprised. Signal interference. From where? He snapped. I pointed at the screen. Earth. Everywhere. Satellites. Civilian networks. Random transmissions. A chaotic storm of signals flooded our targeting systems. Uncoordinated. Messy. Effective. They're jamming us? Lyra asked. I shook my head. Not intentionally. What? I almost smiled. They're just using everything at once. Confusion spread across the chamber. Perfect. Humans don't wait for perfect plans, I explained. They act, then adjust. Another wave of shots fired. More misses. More disruption. General Core growled. Deploy fighters. Thousands of attack crafts surged toward the planet. Fast. Aggressive. Confident. I watched quietly. Now it gets interesting, I muttered. The first fighters entered the atmosphere. Seconds later, they vanished. Not destroyed. Just gone. Core's voice sharpened. Report. A pilot's transmission came through, filled with static. I can't see systems failing. What is? Cut. Another voice. They're everywhere. This isn't military. These are. Cut again. Chairwoman Lyra turned to me slowly. Explain. I kept my eyes on the screen. Improvisation. The visual feed stabilized briefly. And there it was. Not a fleet. Not an organized defense. Everything. Civilian aircraft. Modified vehicles. Drones. Improvised weapons. Even farming equipment. Weaponized. Poorly. Brilliantly. They're using whatever they have, Lyra whispered. Yes, I said. And they're learning. Another fighter squad disappeared. Then another. Losses climbed. Fast. General Core slammed his fist down. Formed defensive lines. Regroup. Too late. Way too late. Because now, the humans were adapting. Our systems glitched. Our communication scrambled. Our formations broke. And then, the counterattack began. Not coordinated. Not clean. But relentless. Projectiles. Hacked systems. Unexpected maneuvers. One human craft, barely held together, rammed directly into a warship. On purpose. The explosion lit up the void. The chamber went silent. I exhaled slowly. They don't think like us, I said. They don't calculate survival the same way. Another transmission broke through. Maya row again. This time louder. Faster. You should have left, she said. We try to be nice. Behind her, chaos. People shouting. Systems running. Movement everywhere. Organized chaos. The best kind. General Core stared at the screen. For the first time, he looked uncertain. End this, he ordered. But there was no ending it. Not anymore. Because now, Earth wasn't defending. It was fighting back. And humans? When they fight back, they don't stop. Our ships fell one by one. Not to superior firepower, but to relentless pressure. Mistakes exploited instantly. Weaknesses found and used. Every second. Everywhere. I leaned against the console, watching the inevitable unfold. Chairwoman Lyra's voice trembled. How did this happen so fast? I glanced at her. You gave him a reason. That was all it took. A reason. General Core whispered, almost to himself. They're insane. I shook my head. No, I said quietly. They're human. The main fleet began retreat protocols. Too late to win. Just in time to survive. Maybe. Earth grew smaller on the display as we pulled back. Still burning. Still fighting. Still standing. Maya's final transmission came through. Clear. Steady. Don't come back. No anger. No fear. Just certainty. The channel closed. Silence filled the chamber once more. Heavy. Defeated. I straightened, adjusting my uniform. Next time, I said calmly, we listened first. No one argued. No one spoke. Because now they understood. Finally. Too late, but still. As Earth faded into the distance, I allowed myself a small smile. Not out of joy. Not out of pride. But because the pattern held. It always does. You can ignore humans. You can underestimate them. You can even attack them. But if you unite them, you lose. Every time. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments what should happen if humans go to war next.